I'm Natalie Dadamio, and I'm an artist and a coach and a spiritual being. My main interest in bringing these videos and is about you finding your internal freedom, whether that's in painting or drawing, mark making, or just in your expression, in your voice, in your writing. It's all about freedom of expression. I didn't always feel free, right? And I've been feeling a lot more free these days. I think the energy of the times is just ripe for creativity and creation. And I feel called in this moment to like be here now. I'm saying this stuff, but I didn't always feel that way. So the thing about it is just tuning in to like these moments and these expressions and what's going on right now, and how can we access all of our emotions and our energy in the process, and learn to discover what's inside of us, and to stop the fear, and to bring ourselves out into the light, right? That's what it's all about. So thanks for being here. It's 3 a.m. here. I don't know. I have this problem where if I'll wake up and then I either see things or hear things and I need to like get them out. So that's why I'm in the studio. I do a lot of writing and creating like in the early hours. Some people are night owls. I'm just I don't know, the earliest bird in the flock. When I turn this video on, that's the other thing. A lot of times I'm interested in like when I'm like working on stuff or having something rising, I'll get the thought of the thing or hear the thing and the theme. And what was coming up right now in this moment is about creative blocks, but also late bloomers, like that whole idea of that term. If you're like just returning to creativity and our art. So I'm a painter predominantly, but I also write and make these videos. So like that's all creative and influenced by like my personal spiritual practice, which is also highly creative. It's all about connecting back to creation. And I feel like art making is the same for me, but it wasn't always this way, right? Like for a long time I was like locked up like this. Like I had all these art. I kid you not, like when I finally like made my first art, like in the fall of 2015, but like it was like the first like way back after being locked up. I had all these art supplies just lying around because like inherently I knew that like I am an artist, or like that is my dominant nature, just like the but the life path has been challenging, so there was a lot of things to work through and a lot of internal things to heal and look at and address. And oftentimes when we're just coming back to our creative practice and our art practice, we can be like super locked up, and that's because like life and like maybe we buried that under whatever whatever our experience was. So it's not going to be the same for everyone. So we don't all come to the practice again, like with the same understanding or onset, but it can be really hard if we, always had that within us and knew that we were doing that. And then we finally return and it's like years later. That can be, hard to like internalize, like because we kind of have to grieve the lost years, and kind of also get over ourselves, but that's like a process in itself, because there's many things that can take us out, many ideas. We can compare ourselves, we can think we don't have X, Y, and Z, and that's why we can't do it. But the truth is, we can really do whatever we want to do as soon as we choose to do it. And that doesn't mean it's easy. But what it means is that creativity and art, they're always calling us forward, right? And if you have that inkling and that little like nudge inside of you, and that internal voice is just like going off, is like there is that possibility to start today, right? And sometimes when you're real beaten down, you can't, even this message might sound like that I'm crazy, like, but I know what it's like to be beaten down. So like I am kind of like a testament to like you can re-choose it again, like and that's like not just art and painting or whatever. It's whatever you want to create, you can choose it. um we let all these things get in the way, and of course like sometimes we have to heal at a certain level, to reveal what the next step is. I often say the revealing is in the healing, like, and that could be a delicate process, and some people don't like the word healing, so replace whatever word you would put in there. I like the word just because I know I've healed things. Does that mean it goes away? No, it just becomes fainter and fainter. Like over time, like the noise maybe lessens within the internal self. And the wound, though, the scar will always remain, right? Because the scar is part of our story. And we could put it into our art. That's what's really cool about painting. But, you could do in whatever art form you're utilizing, whatever creative act, like you can express that scar if you want to, right? Once it's like healed, I think that's the cool thing about art, because you can, and especially for me in a painting practice, a mark making and drawing practice, is like take myself into those moments after they were like healed to some level. Like there's always things that are going to be arising and affecting us, and triggers happen all the time, so it's like awareness and pay attention to like when we're hooked, right? And we all know with the more awareness you have, the more realization you'll see in your own hooks, and then eventually you start to learn to separate things out. What's cool though about energy and emotions is we can really start to like take ourselves into the creative and art practice with that, if we desire to do so. And that makes you like a force for creativity, because you can show up to every moment and you're like, this has nothing on me, I'm gonna see what it can do. That is my highest excitement. Now, it wasn't always like this, and if you're just starting out, that's all like maybe crumbly, and you're like, what is this thing? And a lot of times I'm still like that, but you get better at finding the way, and making decisions and saying like, yes, no, I'm gonna keep this and let that go and move past that moment again. And that like highly can impact life too, once you're like in your creative work, in your art practice, in a drawing practice or whatever. You're making those decisions over and over, and you're like choosing yourself and choosing you over and over. And eventually you get used to what you love and used to seeing yourself. In the beginning, maybe we're not really used to like looking at ourselves, the hard stuff and the good stuff and the beautiful stuff and the like sad stuff. It's all there. And I think art making and creativity can really pull that out of us, and sometimes we don't want to look, right? No, I don't want to see what's been buried under there for years. But it's not always a negative, right? I mean, my biggest experience was when I first came to an art class and was making an inspiration board. I couldn't like really dare to look at all the beauty that was there and like what was possible through that. And it was it like freaked me out, you know. And I was in a very tumultuous time in my life, going through deep changes and a lot of grief and a lot of shedding of my identity, which is like dying to the self. Like art making is something that help me reconnect and kind of be reborn, but it was actually always there too. Like, so it's like dragging my old self forward and but in a new way, in a new light. And restoring what I always knew to be true to me, but I like lost myself a long time ago. Not just in art and painting, you know, and creating, but in my life, like with a physical voice and with showing up even like now like this. You know, it's really changed me. But it was like always in me. So that's the other thing that I'm trying to put forward here right now in this moment at 3:30 a.m. on the East Coast is like we can like bring ourselves to this moment, to this present moment. It's not always easy, and but if we do the work, you know, eventually we get to places, and trusting ourselves in the process, you know, is like one of the hardest things to do. And maybe saying yes if you've been locked up for a long time is also hard, or like you think you need a certain thing in order to start, which we always need to be learning, and then we always need to be throwing it away and going back to ourselves, you know. So but the whole point of this, if you think it's too late, it's not too late. And if you know, really feel that urge, an art practice and a creative practice is so rewarding on so many internal levels that you don't even have to aim to be this like giant thing. Like it could just be simple, you know. And you know, it could start simple and then maybe it changes because you change, or you feel like now this is the thing that I should be doing. And I think in the beginning it could just seem so overwhelming, like I have to have this and this and that, and it has to look this way. But really it could start to look like, the more you work and like find your way, like in art and creativity and life, the more you'll just like naturally fall into your lane. It's not gonna be easy, and it still isn't easy for me to do this. I just like, there's more trust in me and more, I guess, confidence, but still a lot of doubt and sometimes fear. Not as much fear, but just like, oh, is this gonna go anywhere? Is this like, how does this fit into this and that? But those are all the thoughts, right? So when you go like this, like throw away the thoughts, and just like figure out what's here right now in front of you, you know, and start with that. Because sometimes we just have to like take the first tiny step, you know, and then the door opens wider. Yeah. And sometimes the universe might do that for you if you're lucky, or but we can also choose it so we don't have to suffer in the process of returning to ourselves. This is something that I could talk a lot more about in some other videos, but it's just like where life has put me, right? So that's all it is. I mean, I don't really wish what's happened to me on anyone, because it was one of the most challenging things to move through. And I couldn't foresee, like when I stepped on the healing path over a decade or so ago, that eventually it would lead me back to the artist that I always was, not just in art, but in life. And that's a lot. It's a lot to embody something and to become something that you maybe always knew, but you just were too afraid to like settle into. And of course, it's always work and always a journey from wherever you are, and we're always spiraling back out again. So we're never really done. And that's a good thing to realize, is like we are really never done. So you could start today and keep going and find a new way again and fall apart again and start again. That's kind of the process. Try to laugh about it, because some days you're not gonna you're not gonna laugh about it. But when you can, you do, and then when you can't, you don't. So it's like all about awareness of internal states, and then how we're externally going to output that into our creative work, into our lives, and just showing up to the moment. So if you are interested in exploring, expressing, and experimenting, not just in art, but in life, and bringing all your fullest expressions out, this is a place where art, creativity, and healing converge. And if you are into process and practice of art making and mark making and drawing, or want to feel inspired to just make your thing your way, and express yourself fully, or if you're sensitive and empathic and have been looking for like connection, and trying to come out of hiding and become fully into who you are with a multidimensionality of awareness, and that's and the intuition and the automation that you hear within yourself, and you want to bring out that soul. Like, this is a place to be to be free, to be sovereign in your creative self. So if that is inspiring you, check out more of what I do at nataliedadamio.com, and hit like, or don't like it, because that it all helps. Subscribe to the channel if you want to feel surprised. You never know what's gonna happen. So stay tuned and stay creative.